Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo, President and CEO of the Houston Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It's our privilege to have a former chamber board member joining us today. He's an attorney managing partner at Monty and Ramirez, attorney at law, Jacob Monty. Thank you so much for joining us, Jacob.
Proud to be here, Dr. Laura Murillo. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much. And there's a lot happening, and our businesses need a lot of guidance and advice, especially those that are dealing with the current dilemma that we're seeing across the country, and maybe not so much here in Houston, but certainly businesses need to know their rights as it relates to their employees, and the rumors or whatever we're hearing that so much of your clients perhaps are sharing with you as it relates to immigration, their status, what their rights are in the event they get a visit from ICE. So let's start with that. What should employees have in place in the event that they are paid a visit by the government officials?
Well, first, let me say that we're not seeing raids in Dallas or Houston, which is good because our Hispanic themed businesses and really all businesses in Houston are Hispanic themed because we're such a big part of the population, right? But all businesses in Houston aren't seeing the huge downturns that other parts of the country are seeing, but other parts of the country are really seeing dramatic decreases in foot traffic and in sales. And we're fortunate that it's not as bad in Houston and Dallas. We see a little more enforcement in San Antonio, but the good news is raids aren't happening in Houston. What employers need to be ready for is the following, though. Number one, they need to make sure their I-9s are in order, that they have an I-9 for every employee. That's important because unlike some laws that only apply to big companies, the I-9 law applies to all employers, even if you only have one employee. Number one, have your I-9s in order, do a self-audit, test your I-9s before ICE tests them.
So let's stop there very quickly. What does that look like when you say test your I-9?
Great question. So many people tell me, sure, Jacob, I have I-9s, but they haven't even bothered to look at the I-9 to see if they are if they're completely filled out. And oftentimes when I look at them, after insisting to look at them, I'll find out that they're not completed properly. And that could lead to fines for the employer, substantial fines. So test those I-9s. On the issue of I-9s, it's weird. We talked at the beginning of the year, and my message to you and to the community was the hysteria is worse than what's happening on the ground. Remember that? And that was true because the hysteria was outrageous. They were talking about there's roadblocks on 45. There were talks about ICE picking people up at malls, and that was just not true. But now we are seeing more enforcement activity, more than we've ever seen before. And we are seeing more enforcement activity, no raids currently, but lots of I-9 audits. And that's why employers have to be ready. Before we leave the I-9 topic, I want to talk about one change that we're recommending. For years, we've been telling employers, you should copy the documents the employee presents to you to prove they're authorized to work in the US. And copying showed good faith. It helped in audits. It was a good thing to do. Now, 7 months into the new Trump administration, we are telling employers, don't copy the documents the employee presents. Copying is not required. And the reason we're changing our advice is we're seeing ICE use the copies the employer didn't have to complete in the first place against the employer to try to prove that the employer should have known that the employees were undocumented by looking at the copies. So next point, on the I-9, don't copy documents anymore. It's not required. You shouldn't throw away the documents that you've already copied if you were copying, but don't make them anymore. Copying can lead to problems for employers. And especially since copying is not required, we're telling employers don't copy documents because those copies can be used against you. The
Okay.
next thing, the third point I would tell employers is this. It's very difficult to be not accommodating to ICE or to any government official, right? I mean, it's our nature. Someone comes in, they're with the federal government, you want to help them, you want to be accommodating. But this is one area where if ICE comes in and says, hey, I technically have to give you a 72-hour notice to look at your I-9s, but if you want to, you could just let me look at them now. That sounds like a reasonable request, but don't accept that proposition. You have rights as a business owner. Your employees have rights as well. Sometimes we see ICE try to strong arm employers into waiving their 3 business day time period to assemble their I-9s. And that's an important message. The other message is employers need to be ready to push back and ask for a judicial warrant if ICE comes in and wants to conduct a raid. This is difficult for employers. I was just in Kansas and last week, and I dealt with one employer who, in good faith, I said, look, we want to talk to one person who could be a child molester. The employer was very concerned and said, sure, I'll let you talk to that one employee. Sounds good, except ICE took all of the employees. And the employer in that case should have pushed back and said, look, no, I'm sorry. You need to have a warrant and I'll let you do it if a judge has ordered me to. That's a difficult conversation for business owners to have because it's our nature to want to be accommodating. But in this case, you should always insist on your 3-day period to produce your I-9s. And if they want to come in and interview someone or take some documents, demand for to see a judicial warrant. Those are the things employers need to know today. We're at the end of August. We have 3.5 years to go in the new in the new Trump era. It's going to be tough for employers. And Dr. Lauda, it's only going to get worse because that big, beautiful bill that was passed has over $175 billion for more ICE funding. And one of the reasons things aren't as bad in Houston right now is there's limited bed space. So they're not conducting the number of arrests they could conduct if they had bed space. That's going to change come October when the new fiscal year comes into being, and they're going to have more money to rent bed space, to construct new bed space. So it's going to get worse. Hopefully we don't see the type of enforcement we're seeing in California and other states, but it is a very scary time for many businesses. And I'm not talking just about Latino businesses. A lot of Anglo businesses and African-American businesses are hurting because we're such a big part of the population. And even documented people are shunning stores right now. I mean, you have documented people that are worried about being questioned about their immigration status. You have the whole DACA population that's very uncertain. We have a number of DACA clients that are contemplating moving out of Texas because any day now, DACA is going to be illegal or in Texas, they're not going to be renewing permits for DACA Texas residents. And we have a number of clients that are contemplating moving to Oklahoma or New Mexico or Louisiana. So it's a tough environment right now. I wish we were in January when I was saying it's not as bad as the media says it is. Social media has played this into a hysteria. It's pretty darn bad right now.
So here's a different question that we're getting from just the average citizen and people who may or may not be documented, that if they get pulled over and get asked for documents, what are your rights?
Well, you can certainly remain silent. In Texas, though, you do have to identify yourself. And there's some interplay. You could get arrested if you don't identify yourself. But failure to provide your citizenship status is something you could insist on not doing. And if you're undocumented, that might be a good strategy. It depends, Dr. Loud. I've seen many, especially the law enforcement in Houston and the Houston area, is generally good. They're not preying on undocumented workers, on undocumented drivers. So if you choose to just stay silent, you could end up getting arrested. On the other hand, if you're in a part of Montgomery County where they tend to focus on and prey on undocumented drivers, and they work more closely with ICE in Montgomery County, then maybe up there it's better to remain silent and make them. You're going to get arrested most likely. But it's a tough balance that you have to decide to employ there.
Okay, so if you're driving and you're asked to show your driver's license and registration, you show that. But then are you saying that if they ask the second part, are you a US citizen? I mean,
well, you don't have to identify yourself. You have to identify yourself, but you don't have to show documentation.
but
I'm sorry.
People who are saying to us, well, that they're going around carrying their passports now and other documents on them. No one is asking you for that type of information.
No one's asking you, but I mean, look, for US citizens or for permanent residents, it's one thing. You can carry your passport with you. You can carry your permanent resident alien card, which you should do. But the difficult question is, what about the undocumented person? They can insist on staying silent, but that might get them arrested and that might get them on ICE's radar screen. In some cases, it's better for them just to answer the police officer's question, because today we're not seeing at least the Houston police and the Harris County sheriffs. They're not focusing on undocumented people and using that solely as a reason to arrest them or refer them to ICE.
Got it. Okay, well, as we wrap up this segment, Jacob, is there anything else you'd like to share with businesses, entrepreneurs, and others related to this topic?
There is, because of the fear that exists right now, the scoundrels are out. And I'm talking about the notarios and many TikTok lawyers that are scamming immigrants. Dr. Lauda, it's bad out there. There are a number of TikTok lawyers out there who are promising, puedes arreglar sin salir, pay me $15,000, and they get immigrants to file fake, fraudulent claims against U.S. citizen relatives. And not only does it not work, but they end up getting deported because they filed a fraudulent application. And these scammers are charging $10,000 to $19,000 of hard-earned money that leads to deportation and despair. And we got to get the message out. Immigrants should not be going to notarios. They should not be going to TikTok lawyers that promise everything is easy if you only pay $15,000. If it was so easy, anyone with money wouldn't be undocumented. And I know that, that immigration is broken. If it was only a matter of throwing money at it, this problem would have been solved years ago. But our immigration system is broken, and throwing money at it with some TikTok lawyer or some notario is not going to solve it. It may get you deported.
Thank you. Well, always happy to have these conversations with you, Jacob, Monty, to you and your team at Monty Ramirez. We appreciate it, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.